Good day and compliments, dear esteemed viewer, and welcome to our today's edition of Citizens and the Law. Citizens and the Law is a program aimed at demystifying all issues, standing as strength before the gullible hearts and lay persons, towards the knowledge of their rights, defense of these rights, and of course, becoming law-abiding citizens. In our today's edition of Citizens and the Law, we are going to discuss nuisance. And I have with me here in the studio a learned gentleman in the person of Barrister Chika Okeke. Am I right?
You're right.
Barrister Chika Okeke will be getting all the I's and T's dotted and crossed. Vis-a-vis the provision of answers to questions that will make today's topic meaningful. So, Counsel, welcome to the studio.
Yeah, very much welcome.
Yeah, my name is Jude Mascot Biagu. I am the presenter of this program. So, Counsel, without wasting much of our time, I would like you to let the viewer out there know what nuisance is, then are there types of nuisance? Okay.
Well, actually, generally speaking, nuisance is a form of tort. A tort is a civil offense in contradistinction with criminal offense. And this offense is committed where one person unreasonably interferes with another person's use or enjoyment of land or life over land or interest in land. This is actually what nuisance generally means. But then, each state of the Federation has its own tort law. And these tort laws specifically defines what constitutes nuisance. In Anambra State, for example, this tort law is encapsulated in Chapter 40 of the Revised Laws of Anambra State, 1991. And that law specifically defines what nuisance is all about. And in a nutshell, it states that it is an unlawful or unreasonable interference with another person's use or enjoyment of his properties, especially landed properties. That's actually what nuisance is all about. And as you asked, there are basically two types of nuisance, namely private nuisance and public nuisance. A private nuisance occurs where an individual unlawfully and unreasonably interferes with another person's enjoyment of his land, interest in land, and rights over lands, and where that interference leads to or occasions harm or injury to that person. That is actually what private nuisance is all about. There must be harm or injury occasions as a result of that particular nuisance. On the other hand, public nuisance occurs where someone unreasonably interferes with public's rights over public properties, irrespective of whether it leads to harm or injury or not. That's actually, in a nutshell, what private and public nuisance are all about.
Thank you very much, Counsel. There is you are watching Citizens and the Law on ABS Television, Channel 2 for Oka. You can also get us on other aspects, other lines, like in the Star Times. I think we have to observe a little break here to enable us do some necessary adjustment.
Ikembo Juku na Bonanyo, William Biano na Bonanye, Abokuodike na Bonanye, Ibone Gu, Ananuna, Inonezi, Telolo, Ilejakukwo, Inataba, Gaije Binyaka, Ebeseloko, Makandozi Obodanyi, Ojukwezi bụkwara anyị na nke bụ nke anyị apụga bụ nke anyị onye ọbụla tụnye akwụkwọ ya ebe sela ọkụkọ maka ndozi obodo anyị ụmụnne m ka etinyelu ndị niile na-azọ ọchịchị n'otu apụga maka ndị na-ejele anyị House of Assembly ma ndị na-ejele anyị Federal House of Representatives na Presidential Candidate of a Great Party Senate nakwa Governorship apụga ewetala anyị mmepe dị iche iche n'obodo anyị a ga-alụrụ anyị okporo ụzọ malụ mma street light ga-adị ebe niile a ga-enye ndị ntorobịa anyị ọlụ ụmụ anyị ga-agụkwa akwụkwọ n'efu nri ga-adị nyafu a ga na-akwụ ndị ọrụ oyibo ụgwọ ndị pensioners ga na-eli ụgwọ fa anyị ga-enwe ezigbo nchekwa ndụ na akụnụba na ife ndị ọzọ dị iche iche ụmụnne m ndị ihe ọma na-adị mma ya bụ jee binye aka ebe esela ọkụkọ maka ezi ọlụ ka anyị jee binye aka ebe esela ọkụkọ maka ndozi obodo anyị
mmemme ekeresimesi na afọ ọhụrụ ọma site n'aka anyị niile na-arụ ọrụ n'ụlọ mgbasa ozi Anambra Broadcasting Service Ọka.
Very much, dear esteemed viewer. We are still going on. I told you that you can get us on channels 113, also on Metro Digital, and this is ABS Television Channel 2 for Oka. And I also want to let you know that somebody joined us right now, and that is Barrister Larry Emeka Nwangu. Counsel, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Okay. For those of you on channels, channel 113 on Metro Digital, it is 29, and ABS channel 24. Jude Mascot will be here with my name. Barrister Larry Emeka Nwangu and Chico Keke, they are here with me in the studio. So, Counsel, you just finished with the definition of nuisance, the types of nuisance, and of course, definition of the types. I want us to descend on the aspects of this private nuisance, then the aspects of this public nuisance. Let us dwell on private nuisance. How will people begin to know when they commit an offense within the private nuisance, then the public nuisance? First, from the private nuisance. I'm coming to you, Larry Emeka Nwangu.
When you look at private nuisance, it simply denotes a situation where the injury or the nuisance, so to say, complaint of, affects a private individual. And in such a situation, the right to litigate over same inures to the private individual as against the public nuisance, where you can only, as a private individual, litigate over such nuisance only if you can show that the way and manner in which the act complained of affects you above or specifically more than the generality of the public. But in private nuisance, it does not really entail that such a person must ordinarily be an owner of the land, for him to actually have a right of litigation over such nuisance complained of. Interest in land is primarily the requirement for you to actually have that right of litigation over the place wherein that nuisance is committed. Like situation where a person, emits nauseous substance or something from a person's adjoining lands escapes in order to affect another's land, maybe by way of sewage or some other things. These are certain things that falls within this shore we are discussing. And a private individual has a right thereto to litigate over such.
Now let me ask from the one that is very close to us. Somebody buys a big gen set and directs the nozzle of the exhaust into another person's premises, and maybe some of them are asthmatic and things like that. Can somebody call it a private nuisance?
Yes, it can fall within the shore of private nuisance, so long as the emission of such gas, if directly it affects you and enjoying adjoining lands, one can have a right over such issue to litigate on it and actually address the issue in court so that that person will be checkmate because it is the injury per se it can occasion will be on the high level of health disaster to the person involved. And our law will not tolerate such behavior.
Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Chika. Still on this nuisance, to what extent does one own a land, bearing nuisance in mind?
We find out that everything about nuisance centers on land. Could be an interference with someone's use or enjoyment of the land, or an interference with someone's rights over land, or interference with someone's interest in land. So everything centers on land. And you find out that in most cases, the owners of adjoining land always, sometimes unknowingly interferes with the other person's or his neighbor's enjoyment of his own land. And when situations like that occurs, you find out that unknowingly the person may be committing nuisance. And as we all know, ignorance of law is not an excuse. So it doesn't matter whether you are aware of the fact that you are committing nuisance or not. If your action or your interference over your neighbor's usage or enjoyment of his land is unreasonable and to some extent occasions harms to that person or an injury to that person, you will be liable for nuisance, private nuisance.
Directly, because I'm still dwelling on land. Does one owe a land to high heavens? Assuming somebody builds a house and up there he extends his decking, encroaching into another person's land. Somebody plants some trees along his wall, and the branch springs much into the other person's land. Somebody is doing a mining in his own compound. Down there, it might cause an earthquake, or even an underground building or things like that can enter into somebody's land. One thing or the other may happen in future. So these dimensions, Larry Wangu, what do you have to say?
I have to look at it in this way because when you talk about use and enjoyment of land, the law actually recognizes, the air space, but that does not mean ad infinitum. It does not mean endless. It does not mean to the high heaven. For certain laws, aviation laws and things like that, actually specify to the extent wherein you can have rights over over the airspace or easement, as the case may be.
That specification is not available for now. Like 1,000 feet into the airwaves?
Something like that,
okay,
because it is assumed that even the so-called skyscrapers where they used to build, call it 50 floors, there are certain, except if it is within the takeoff of aircraft, within the airport zone. So the town planning authority actually checkmate those ones. They can say you cannot build more than 2-story or 1-story building because it is in the takeoff route of airplane within the airport zones. But
I want you to stop at that. Maybe I'll come back to Barrister Chika. This is Christmas period. I think a lot of nuisance will be committed this Christmas period. People will cross the bound of decency a lot. I want to also ask our viewer out there to start making call. If you so want to call and ask any questions on the numbers on the screen, 090 729 72090. The other one is 070 627 24192. Clearly written as far as you are watching this program. The numbers are there on the screen. Ask your question either in English or Igbo, provided you understand what you are saying, but the problem is there in the grammar. You can come up in Igbo language. I think we have a caller already online there. Hello?
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 Yes, I'm Arinze from Oka.
Arinze from Oka?
Yeah.
Okay, ask your question, English or Igbo language. You are free. Arinze, you have to call back. Okay, I'm coming to you, Barrister Chika. Larry Wang will just return from the airspace. I'm taking you underground. So what do you have to say about that?
As I stated earlier, what is actually paramount or what is important is whether your action is reasonable or unreasonable. If your action is unreasonable, for example, they not dig under someone's building to the extent that that particular action of yours will adversely affect that person. If you do that, you find out that your action is unreasonable and you will be liable in nuisance. So what is important is whether your action is reasonable or whether the action is unreasonable. If your action is unreasonable, there is no way you will escape from the arms of law.
We have a caller. Hello? 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 Please, if you want to call us, you have to tune down the volume of your TV set so that you can get us better. So continue.
Yes, as I was saying, ownership of land does not only amount to the physical land you are seeing. Land also includes the things beneath the land, and he who owns the land also owns other things that are attached to the land, even the underneath of the land. So if you interfere with it in such a way that it will affect the owner of that land, you will find out that you will be liable in trespass, in nuisance.
Hello? Hello? I know, I believe this program is not for kids. If you want to call us, be serious about it. Then you tune down the volume of your TV set. A lot of things. This very topic is very good at this season or moment of the year. I want to ask again what happens particularly during festivities. Like this is Christmas. Next week, Tuesday, is 25 December. That is the day for Christmas celebration. Before then and after that, a lot of things used to happen. To what extent can the masquerades operate before when it will become a nuisance? The masquerades blocking the road with their long sticks, sitting on top of bonnets, obstructing traffic, and people placing their wares almost onto the road there. Larimango, what do you have to say?
Well, in issues of this nature, which sometimes it has to happen within a given period of time, one can actually look at them, from the point of view of a disturbance that are temporal, in the sense that it is an almost normal occurrence. But if they extend beyond that, because our given society, we grew up to know that masquerades operate, but then these masquerades have to operate within certain limits. Situation where they go out of the limit of cultural, displays, and begin now to actually inflict injury per se on a person in the guise of those.
Some powder on your hands at this very question. Can masquerade be arrested, Barrister Chika?
There is no doubt that
their spirits, can they be arrested?
And of course, there is no doubt that the masquerade can be arrested. And the moment the masquerade is arrested, the masquerade will be unmasked.
Hello. Callers, please. Let's be serious. Okay, numbers are very clear on the screen there. You just look on the screen. Callers, tune down the volume of your TV set. Amara mo ibo ana so na nyen sogbu a ifa na iku maka ya bụ ụmụ ife akparamagwa na adabaro nke ihe eme mejọ mmadụ ibe gị nke ị ga-eme mejọ ọha na eze na ị nwere anị apụta na ihe sorogo i were anị ga aha mee na-emegido agbata obi gị ụmụ ife dịgasị otu a ị nwere ike ịjụ ajụjụ a n'oyibo ma ọ na n'Igbo ma ọ n'oyibo sie ike enwekwe n'ife njuru unu Larry Nwangwu onye kụrụ osisi na biya osisi a togudo mpalaga osisi aha bala be mara na-asị ya bịa gbukapụ ọjọọ ife dị otu a sokana ya zakana ni igbo dịka oyibo ndị ọ na-emelụ ara tupu ị na-aga n'uchere okwe ka mmalụ hello
iwu na ọka mma n'oyibo mana agbarie ya n'Igbo ihe ọ pụtara wụna nwa onye Igbo na-ama ihe dị mma. Even in our ancient Igbo setting, Igbo culture anyị enweghị oge ọ nabatara mmadụ ịkụ ihe n'ụlọ ya maka ndị Igbo agbawago ogige n'ụlọ ha even before Igbo abịa. Igbo anyị anabataghị na ị ga-akụ osisi n'ụlọ gị agalaba ya abanye na ụlọ onye ọzọ. Oge ahụ ụdị ihe ahụ mee onye nwe ụlọ ahụ ga-abịa kpọọ gị sị gị bịa wepụ ife ịkọrọ because na ihe ahụ ịkọrọ nwere ike ọ nọgide obi wawa wọọlụ onye ahụ mgbọrọgwụ ya abataba na ụlọ onye ahụ ọ wụrụgodo ụlọ ya o nwere ike ịgbawawa ya maka ụlọ aja ka anyị na-arụ in those days. So ihe m na-akọwa n'Igbo ma ihe wu nuisance when it comes to mmadụ edu osisi ọ na-abata n'ụlọ ya anyị nwere otu anyị si eme ihe niile ahụ oge ahụ o nwere ike ọ bụrụ ụmụnna ka ị ga-akpọ ebe ahụ a na-atụọrọ ụmụnna aka si lekwe ihe onye a na-eme ebe a ụmụnna ga-enye ya iwu si ya dị anyị na ịma na ihe ị na-eme adịghị mma bupụ ngalaba osisi a ọ bupụ osisi a na osisi ya ebukarịa na ọ ya mere ọjị adịghị eto n'ụlọ ọjị adịghị eto n'ụlọ otu ndị Igbo si wee ghọta ya. O nwere ụdị osisi ndị na-eto n'ụlọ nwere ụdị osisi ndị na-eto na village square.
Yeah, your name and location. Can I find a BC akpọ? Onye ka mo be kisi akpọ ngwa jụọ ajụjụ nwere ike.
ihe nchọrọ ịjụ bụ onye dekwara onye mmadụ nwere oke ebe onye nke onye ma onye n'ebe fensị kwesịrị ibe onye akụzi ezi nkite nke mmiri a na-agafeta ezigbo nke ebe fensị kwesịrị ibe onye ahụ tinye wọọlụ ụlọ die iwu na o meghe windie ị nọ na be nke gị ọ si na windie na-emepe anya na be nke gị
aghọtago m ihe ọ na-ajụ ihe ọ na-ajụwo onye ya na mmadụ nwere oke onye ahụ ewere ụlọ ya rụnye n'oke ahụ windo ya adịrị n'oke ahụ ọ nọ na oke ahụ ya na-elebata anya n'ụlọ gị ọkwa ya ka ị na-ajụ nwanna ihe anyị nwere ịgwa gị na ihe a na ihe awụ all nuisance nnukwu nuisance egbe onye a akwụkwọ not only na all nuisance anyị na-ekwu okwu ya ọ dịkwa against the physical planning law of Anambra State maka na the physical planning law of Anambra State kwuru na ụlọ ọwụ na mmadụ rụrụ ga-enwe setback enwe ihe a na-akpọ a ga-enwe ohere ga-adị between ụlọ mmadụ rụrụ na wall fence of that person ma imeghe observe that setback exactly and mmadụ ga na-agagharị na wọtọfọ ọ bụrụ na windo gị mebie not necessarily a gota nwere ike ịdị there but a ga-enwerịrị a space between the building not in a compound and the wall fence. The essence of that is that one will not a high-rise building, assuming not one-story building, let me use it, or two-story building. Many losing na your own story building need not fall into your neighbor's compound because all quite nuisance on his own. So, our physical planning law also guide this thing. Onye ị na-ekwu ugbu eleme anya onweghị building approval. So, you need ibidogodi ịga complain or the physical planning. Then you can also take up an action in nuisance. It will address that matter.
Okay, that's something I want to ask very close to this issue now. Two persons in a boundary must have a boundary demarcation. Okay. Onye bezikwere n'ụlọ ọ hapụ ha oghere ọwụna n'oke ya na mmadụ. Because if you're in my village, just 3 feet. I mean, 3 ruler length. Yeah, we're away from the boundary. We try to fence. But if I have done a boundary, fence, they will not leave any space. Can the other person be held liable if he do what this gentleman just asked now? The previous person built his own house directly on the boundary, leaving no space. Will you blame the other person?
Actually, two wrongs cannot make a right.
Yeah.
And that your neighbor actually is in breach of a particular rule of law does not actually give you the right to also break that law. All you need to do is to observe what the law has said. Then you can go all out by way of litigation and authorities. There are authorities set up by state government that can.
Well, when I look at this hypothetical case or scenario which you have created, I find out that it is a typical example of what is happening in urban areas. You find out that in urban areas, people don't always give any space behind their fence. And to that extent, I am of the opinion that as far as you did not encroach into the land of your neighbor, you have not committed any offense. But if your action in the course of building your fence or doing whatever thing you are doing in your compound interferes with the life of the other person, in my view, it is at that point that one will say that you have committed or you are guilty of nuisance.
Sorry, there is something I want to chip in.
Let's get this caller.
Hello? All right, sorry.
Hello? Hello?
We are talking.
Hello?
We are talking about private nuisance, a right that actually inures to a particular individual.
Okay.
That does not remove the rights that also inures to the state. For instance, reason why the state sometimes want a situation where these setbacks will be observed in building is for security reasons. If you build directly on the wall, somebody can jump from somebody's compound into another person's compound. So if you have not maybe breached any rule in nuisance, you may have breached a rule in physical planning law, because the law actually provides that this is a standard way of building, and it is a law.
Okay, thank you very much, dear esteemed viewer. You are watching Citizens and the Law. The topic is nuisance. And I have with me here in the studio Barrister Larry Mekangwangu and Barrister Chika Okeke. You can get us on channels 113 and Metro Digital 29. Of course, you can also get us on ABS channel 24. That's our channel, that's our number there. Jude Mascot will be with my name. Let's take a little break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. You can get us on the numbers on the screen, which will appear anytime. All you need to do is to lower the volume of your TV set. I have Barrister Larry Mekangwangu and Chika Okeke here in the studio with me, Jude Mascot. I want to ask another question. This is Christmas period. People mount their canopies on the highway. You know, when you say highway, they think it is just the express road or the road that leads from Onitsha to Port Harcourt, or the one that leads from Oka to Enugu. Highway. I want, before this question will be answered, what is highway? Then again, mountain of canopies directly at the center of the highways in urban places and rural areas. Particularly this Christmas season, I know it's going to happen. What does the law say about that? Does people have rights to mount canopies on the center of a highway, on the center of the road, in the name of whatever celebration? First of all, what is highway? Secondly, tell us about this that I've just said now.
For the purposes of nuisance, we find that when we are dealing with the definition or the meaning of nuisance, we bifurcated nuisance into private nuisance and public nuisance.
No, this one is on the side of the public nuisance.
Yeah, it's the public nuisance. Yeah. And we did say that public nuisance occurs when someone unlawfully, without any reasonable cause, interferes with public rights over public properties or public facilities. And you find out that most of these loads we are referring to.
Hello? Go ahead.
Yes, as I was saying, you find out that most of these laws are public facilities and public properties. And the moment anyone unreasonably, unduly interferes with public usage of that load, it amounts to public nuisance. And so when you broach any public load with canopy or what have you, you are actually committing public nuisance. And you may be held accountable for that action. You find out about the point is that an individual, as my learned brother lightly stated, an individual cannot enforce public nuisance unless he or she is able to establish that he has an interest or that he has been affected by that particular action in a way that is above what the general public are suffering. But in most cases, you find out that the person that has the power or the authority to enforce public nuisance is the Attorney General of the state or the Attorney General of the Federation, as case may be, or the relevant governmental agencies that has power to do that.
However, a private person may obtain the authority of the Attorney General or the relevant government agencies in law, what we call fiat, to enforce or to take an action on behalf of the state against the person who is committing that nuisance. Yes.
Okay, Larry Wanguri, can you come in here?
Actually, in modern day Nigeria and some societies, a situation has arisen wherein people usually build up the spaces they have, and when they want to do a function, there is no longer any space to enable them do those functions.
Hello? Go ahead, please.
And this also brings us, because it is a public nuisance, we have agreed, as my learned friend have pointed out. But one other thing I want to emphasize on that is there is need for us to begin now to obey, even without enforcement, the physical planning laws and maybe the Oka Capital Development Authority's regulations, as the case may be. These laws and this checkmating, by some government agencies are for our own good, because when you have a certain area of land that you are supposed to build on, there are certain limits, buildable limits of that particular land. You cannot build a land, you cannot build the entire land. These things are made in order to preserve some space for us, should we need an out space to do one thing or the other. So in such situation, there are, like I was saying, that have resulted as a modern development.
Hello? Hello?
So people can now apply to some of this, if it becomes absolutely necessary, that there is no way it could be done. They can apply to certain local government or the state who has the power to approve blockage of a public road. And you must have that authority for you to block that public road. If they deem it fit that there could be a way through which the traffic can flow without, that is their duty to do so. The duty of that approving authority to inform the public or put a sign indicating that something is actually happening here for you to take another route. So if these things are in place, one can say that the authority actually consented, but you cannot just on your own do that. If you do that, the authority, the Attorney General, even a private individual who it affects so much, because somebody can be on very sick, and ambulance need to get to his house in order to evacuate that person to hospital, and you may block the only road through which they can move, and in the course of that, death results. They can feel aggrieved so much. You can see how it affects them. And in such a situation, they can take up an action to address that particular situation.
Okay. On the other hand, Nigerian police, can't they do something about this? You are talking about Attorney General. Can the police come and say, hey, dismantle, you have no right to do this, or else we get you all arrested? Is there anything the police can do, or should we wait for Attorney General to come down there with the police or somebody to the court? Chika.
Well, I find out that in most jurisdictions, including Nigeria, public nuisance equally amounts to criminal offenses. And the moment the thing deals with criminal offense, the police can come in, police can interfere to make sure that, the act or the action constituting the nuisance is removed from the load. So police has a very serious role to play with respect to the prevention of the numerous nuisance that are happening around us. They have a role to play, because nuisance.
I was coming back from somewhere along Isiokwe Road on Nature Inland Town. I saw the road blocked with canopies and things like that. In this Oka town, it happens. At Ekulobe, it happens. In some villages, it happens. So what are the police doing? Now, ndeba una nugi na Agbankwụ, ina eme party KYZ. We canopi buchie ụzọ. ndị gbara na-akụ egwu ịkpọta ndị akpa obi debe awụgoro na egwu a polisi ma ije lokal gọọmenti nata ikike ije bịa na-ebi esi tinye ma ọkwa na ife dị otu a ụzọ dị otu a mbọsị dị otu a ga-emechie bido na mgbe dị otu a ruo na mgbe dị otu a maka ihe dị mkpa a na-achọ ime ebe afọ ka ọha na eze mata mana nke a bụ obodo anyị bụ nnukwu mmadụ daa iwu maka onye dị ife a obere mmadụ daa iwu agbọọ ya ntị dịka iwu si were kwu. Why is it that the laws are always applied when the poor masses or poor man commits an offense? Why would this law apply to all?
Actually, our law does not create an exception in the likes of rich or poor. Our law is a law that binds every person. Every person is answerable. Except in situation where there is an exception, like I have earlier said, maybe you had a permission permitting you to use that road. When police approaches you to ask question why this road should be blocked and things like that, you show them the permit, and like you have also pointed out, you need to also announce, put them on radio or local media or whatever to inform people, so that somebody who is coming from anywhere will be duly informed that this road will not be used.
Hello, can I find a BC abo? I na ni fine kwa na ni fine. Can I find a BC abo? Afa bo gene. Chukwuneke from Oka. Ngwa ga n'iru jụọ ajụjụ go. Juba. Okay, I don't think I'm well at home with the reception.
Well, we have answered that question. That question has been answered.
I think this question, no, in
the course of discussion, we answered that question.
Ihe gbasalo ife anyị na-ajụ n'azaghị ya. Ihe gbasara oke anị. Anyị na-ekwu maka ihe gbasara oke anị ebe a. Ọ bụghị onye rụrụ na ọbịa na bandị egbuka fence, amenye gap. Abịazie na mgbete ha ka obute ihe esemokwu. So ndị lọya bụ a na-ebe ọkwugo ihe gbasara oke anị. Hello? Hello? Barrister Chika, by way of example, can you come up with a difference between public and private nuisance?
Oh, well, I think, Patrick, we have stated this before. A private nuisance occurs where there is an unreasonable interference with an individual's interest or right over land, individuals as against public interest. Yeah. So the dividing line is whether the life or enjoyment that is being affected, adversely affected, is that of an individual, or whether it is that of the general public. If it is that of a private individual, as my learned brother lightly said before, it becomes a private nuisance. But where it belongs to the general public, by general public, I mean when it belongs to the public at large, you don't have anything that is above the interest of the other members of the society. It is a public nuisance. And when public nuisance occurs, as we said before, an individual does not have right to enforce same, except if he can be able to prove that he has suffered a damage that is above that which other members of the public.
Time is no more. Friend Larry Nwangu, explosives. Explosives, this is the time people blow out a lot of explosives. They call it a knockout of various kinds. I don't know whether this knockout is proper. I don't know whether it is unlawful. If it is unlawful, is it a nuisance? What do you have to say about that?
One is that the law actually makes those things unlawful in the sense that they can give rise even to fire, cutting down persons' buildings and things like that. So a situation where you are in your compound and you set off a knockout, into another person's thatch or mud house, and it sets the house on fire, or it does any other thing within that place, it is an interference, because we are talking also about interference. And more so, outside this, maybe just we are in the Christmas mood also. A situation where what we, Rayland and Fletcher, there is a law which we talk about strict liability. Where a situation, maybe you might have a domestic animal or any kind of animal, like cow, as the case may be, and such a cow, may move on his own, and it can put fears in the people, in the generality of the people. A defense of a situation where they kill that cow, it will be a defense, to them, because these are some of issues of nuisance that you cannot really classify, and the law now separate them from the classification of public and private nuisance into strict liability, because the owner of the said cow now will be strictly liable in that in that act of the cow, irrespective of the fact.
From that side and enter into another side. There is the kind of building people who live in yards, they call it face me and face you. And somebody tunes the volume of his radio set to such level that is alarming. The other neighbor cannot read, he cannot think, he cannot pray, things like that. Where does this fall? Where does it fall in?
Well, as a matter of fact, that is one of the classic cases of private nuisance. But again, it depends on whether the volume of the radio set has gotten to the level where one can say that it is unlistenable. Most people have radios in their houses. But, we have to understand that your life to make use of your land or the land in which you are in possession of stops where that of another person.
I am talking about people who go to the market and buy this speaker that is meant for commercial purposes. They mount this thing in their rooms and blow this off. And,
that's actually where I am driving.
Okay.
As I was saying that you are right to use your compound, your room, or what have you, stops where another person's right to use his starts. So you find out that when what is going on in your room or in your apartment is adversely affecting another person, the occupant of the adjoining apartment, you find out that you are committing nuisance against that person. And the person can maintain an action against you in nuisance in court. Yes, of course. It amounts to private nuisance.
What if a lawyer who has his office within Upper Wake, where you have a lot of record people, a lot of music sellers, they continue to blow their music every now and then, to the extent that this lawyer has lost concentration. He can no more plan his case, and the office is just at the center of this place. Can you sue anybody for nuisance?
Actually, just like my learned friend have actually pointed out, there are certain indicia which our courts actually also put into place in order to interpret whether actually this person have committed a nuisance. It does not really mean that if you're a lawyer, you now go and establish your chamber in an area that is predominantly noisy. The law will look at what is this area designated. Okay. What is the average man in this area? What is he able to tolerate? You understand? The law will look at these things. These are some of the things that will actually show as to whether this amounts to nuisance. But if, for instance, going to an industrial area, to establish a residential house, you must be ready to take some element of pollution, some element of, so many things. You must be ready. It is when this becomes unreasonable or when this is out of proportion, then it will now amount to nuisance.
Okay, I to think that the two learned gentlemen here in the studio actually has provided the kind of grass that is good for the goats. I have not called anybody goat. This is a metaphorical language. So to say. So it is on this note, dear esteemed viewer, that I want to announce. I'll tell you that we've come to the end or drawn the curtain for today's edition of Citizens and the Law. The topic has been nuisance. And it has been I, Jude Mascot of Biago, with Bar Salari and Mekawango. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And Barrister Chico KK, been wonderful. Thank you also.
Thank you very much.
And Jude Mascot of Biago saying a big thank you. There is team viewer to have been with us all this while on ABS Television Channel 2 Next week, we are coming back with another interesting package. Don't forget, this is Christmas. Do not commit anything that is near nuisance. Don't block the road. Be a law-abiding citizen. We are coming back again next Wednesday. Until then, bye for now.